We have been spending a lot of time at home as of late, and it's made a lot of us realize that we need to update or upgrade some things in our home. So how much money should we put in, and what type of reno will give us the most bang for our buck? For some of the answers, we're turning to Realtor Justin Havre with Justin Havre and Associates RE/MAX First. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, Sue and Andrew.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Okay, Justin, so we always hear the kitchen. That's the first room you should reno. But what would you suggest when it comes to renovating in terms of, value for your home? You're the guy who knows the best.
Well, it's a great question, right? And I think first and foremost, the homeowners should really put some thought into why are they making the renovations? Are they making the renovations because they are planning on selling the property, or for them to enjoy their home? And if they're looking at enjoying their home for a few years to come, obviously, or even selling the house in the near future, the investment would be painting the interior. That's where you typically see about an 80 to 110% return.
Wow.
Now, if you want to obviously renovate the kitchen, which is probably the best return on investment when it's considering functionality, that's where you will typically see a return on your investment for right around the 75 to 95% mark. So you're not going to get 100% of your money back. So if you are looking at obviously selling your house in the near future, you may want to really put some thought into what you're renovating.
But the short term, I like what you're saying about the painting, Justin, and I'm surprised. I think Sue's surprised because painting, it doesn't have the same price tag as a kitchen or a bathroom reno.
Correct, right? So, typically for the average house to paint the interior, you could spend anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000.
That's a lot cheaper than Andrew's reno that he's got underway, Justin.
I'm
let me
looking
tell
at
you
it,
that.
Uh-oh.
But it does. It's just, you're right. It really freshens things up, and it makes you feel like your home is almost new again if you're living there. But so in terms of if we're thinking of reselling or selling and buying new, if we want to just do sort of some of the basic stuff, would you say it's really renovate the kitchen and make that your big project, or do a few little things around the house?
And again, if you're looking at selling the house, I would try to do minimal renovations, because you're not going to get 100% of your investment back unless it is paint. So if you are looking at selling a property in the near future, you probably just want to fix all the things that kind of needs repairs, just to kind of bring it so it's turnkey.
So is there a formula, or what do you look at when you're talking to clients or even friends for that matter, because you are in people's homes 24/7 and you know the value of these things? Is there a year formula? So for example, if I want to do that $30,000, $40,000 or $50,000 kitchen or bathroom reno or combo, how many years would I be best to enjoy it before I sell it and not feel like a fool for putting that kind of money in?
Oh, you're asking a pretty tricky question there. It's like I got to pull out the crystal ball, because there's so many factors that come into play there, because obviously the economy, the housing market, all those things play a factor on resale value, right? So if you are planning on staying in your home for 5 to 10 years and you do feel that a kitchen renovation would make the house more enjoyable, and you're okay with not getting 100% of your money back, obviously, depending on what the market is like in 5-10 years down the road, at least you get to enjoy your home for that time that you're in it.
Justin, you said you don't drop a whole lot in before you move in some cases, but how do you know if your house is dated? We've lived in ours for, 14 years now, I guess, and it was new when we bought it, so we put in all the things that we liked, and we still like them, but maybe if someone else walks in now 14 years later, they're like, oh, that's kind of old school now.
Well, one of the things that you could do is you could reach out to your real estate professional in the industry, or you could even visit some of the show homes just to see the latest trends. But if you are looking at making any sort of repairs to your home, it might not be a bad idea to get your home pre-inspected by a certified home inspector, so you know what the deficiencies are, so you can then address those.
Makes sense.
What about the slippery slope? And I'm not sure what you think about this, because I live in a neighborhood that's late 60s. Down in South Calgary, and some people do these beautiful renos and they're living there, but then I see these houses that look like they could use a reno. Somebody comes in, it's for sale, comes in, redoes the whole thing to flip it, and it looks gorgeous. I get on the MLS website, take a look, and it's priced $150,000, $200,000 more than the regular houses in the neighborhood. So it kind of stands out like a sore thumb. Do those neighborhoods, and is there a case sometimes of doing so much to your home that it stands out and isn't worth the value of the neighborhood? Is that something we should be concerned about?
Yeah, you should definitely, if you're planning to do a renovation for a flip, for instance, you really got to do your homework and make sure that you have a well-planned design and a reasonable time frame. You got to make sure that you have a budget, and especially for unforeseen costs and changes to the plan. And you also got to make sure that you obviously have all the quotes that you're getting from the professionals, tradespeople that you're hiring in writing. And obviously, there's many factors there. I think a lot of times we get inspired by some of the TV shows that we see out there, where people are doing a renovation for $200,000, but it adds an extra $100,000 in value. I would highly caution against following those TV shows for advice. But reach out to the professionals in the industry, get professional advice, do your due diligence if you're looking at doing a renovation or a flip.
Okay, we got Justin Havre on the phone, so we have to ask you. State of the market right now, what do you see? Is it a buyer's market, seller's market? And look into that crystal ball again for us and tell us what you can see in the next year or two.
Jeez, you got to put me on the spot.
It's early. We're trying to dupe you.
I know, right? You know what? The market have obviously been very active here in the last few months. And, we had a little bit of a lull here at the start of the school year. Obviously, parents are busy getting the kids back in school, but also I feel that they're pretty relieved. The market is really fueled by some really low interest rates right now. Like, some people are getting 5-year fixed mortgage at 1.74%.
Wow.
Which is
unheard of.
Free.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very attractive. So that is, fueling a lot of the new home buyers getting into the marketplace. And we're seeing a lot of activity in the single-family sector under $600,000. That continues to remain very strong. There is a little bit of downward pressure on condominiums, and that could be also due to the pandemic that we're in, with people not wanting to live in a highly condensed area or building because of the virus. But aside from that, we're resilient here in the marketplace, and, people continue to buy and sell based on circumstances and needs.
Justin, if you could sort of say one thing that might be, obviously any property is going to be a good investment, but I think when we've spoken to you before or recently, you talked about how some of the more expensive homes have sort of come down in price, and that might be where people could move towards if they have the money at this point.
Yeah, you know what? There's definitely a lot of opportunities for those people that are able to move up in the marketplace, right? Because there's more downward pressure on the higher priced properties. Although, we are still seeing some movement there, so that's very promising as well. But yeah, there's definitely, if you're selling in, the $400,000 to $600,000 price range and moving up to the 700 plus, there's probably bigger upside when the market and the economy turns around. And
I guess you could say, one last 15-second analysis here. When we're, as kicked as we have been and down, it looks like there's nowhere but up. It's just a matter of when, right?
Yeah, and we obviously need the economy to motor along, and with our city sitting with about 15% unemployment, we need people to get back to work. And once people are working, they will probably be looking at making some moves, because there are some great opportunities out there, along with some pretty incredible low interest rates.
Always love your perspective. Thanks for joining us, Justin.
Thanks for having me. Have a wonderful day.
You too. That's Justin Havre with Justin Havre and Associates RE/MAX First, justinhavre.com.